Hey everybody, here is your announcement. Unless something changes, in which case it'll be posted in my Discord, the subscriber stream, craft review, whatever you call it, is Saturday. What day is today? Oh my god, show me a calendar. Saturday the 18th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, EST if you will. Come hang out. Come get your craft reviewed, because otherwise I'm not going to look at it if you're not there. Come show up, come hang out, we're going to have a good time, and I'm going to be going not all day, but a reasonable amount of time, and I'm going to get basically everyone's stuff reviewed. So come hang out, come see what's up, and I will see y'all there. Let's get down to this video. So, we're back at it. We're doing subscriber reviews again. And of course, in my eternal bias towards boats, I picked two boats. It's not that I don't want to pick an airship, it's just that it's much easier to review boats because there's so many more of them sent, which means there's so many more chances for good and bad ones, and I tend to get sent airships that are already pretty good, so like, I like to just highlight those and be like, hey, this person made something good. Anyway. We're doing two boats, and we're switching up the style. We're doing the bad, or I guess the less good, the good, and something extra at the end. So we'll just be looking at three craft. The not so good craft we'll be doing in depth, and we'll see that in a second. The other two we'll just be giving a little glance, just to see. But anyway, here they are. Here we have the Thomedy Missile Cruiser by Amfreight, I believe, and this is the Trident by Kvist. And the Trident is our good craft, which we'll be looking at in comparison, and the Thomedy is our less good craft, which we'll be using as our main in-depth go over and advice and things to do. Whereas we'll just kind of look at this and be like, hey, this is what you should do. But, alright, let's get into this thing. So, before we start, let's just take a glance, I guess is the word, at the Thomedy. It is a $670,000 ship, 258 firepower, 48% armor cost, about 24,000 blocks, and its main armaments are missiles. It's not very fast, it's fast enough, and I would call it a cruiser. The name is pretty applicable. If I made this, it would be a cruiser. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. Quite like the overall shape. It's a little bit of a floating box, but nothing wrong with that. It's got interesting superstructure. Not too big on the guns myself. But anyway. Yeah, overall, a decent ship. Let's just open up its guts real quick and just see what it's got in here. So, we notice simple weapons, cram, main APS railgun, some main missiles, huge missile, interesting. A lot of redundant stuff everywhere, like crazy amount of redundant stuff everywhere. Large missiles, medium missiles everywhere, and just a whole bunch of stuff. So much stuff that there's actually too much stuff. Like incredible amounts of stuff. And a pretty big sin in the form of the armoring, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, let's start with the easy parts. Let's start with the weapon systems. Specifically, since I don't know too much about crams, I cannot tell what kind of Tetris this is. So, I mean, could be 3D, but like again, I'm not a cram wizard. I don't know jack about them, so I will not claim to know jack about them. I just know this gun is pretty low firepower. It has a lot of wasted space because it's just neck. And let's see, yeah, this lower deck probably could just have more stuff, or you could armor the neck. Crams aren't explosive, and just add more cram pieces. Anyway, it's just a low firepower. It's not very strong. 42,000 kinetic damage. It's probably a penetrator. Does frags, probably an AP frag cram. But anyway, not too powerful. The main railgun. I'm not a big fan of this. So the Tetris is okay. I believe it is 3-clip. But there is a glaring issue. There are no ejectors. Now, what happens, my friends, when you don't have ejectors? I hope you know the answer to this question. Boop. I said boop. Did I not get in here? Boop. Your gun ceases to exist as soon as it gets touched. Please, 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 please. Do not skimp. Ooh, I can actually see the turret armor. Nice. This is not the greatest, but we'll talk about that as well. Please do not skimp. Ejectors, when you're making anything that isn't a pure kinetic railgun, you cannot option the ejectors. They aren't a question, they're an answer. And you must have the answer to pass the test. If you do not put ejectors, I don't care how much ERA, how much armor, how much this or that you spam on your gun, you get hit by any glancing blow, like even a heat shell sneaks its way through this hole in the armor, of which there are many holes in the armor. Like, a pleak isn't really going to stop you if the heat blows up here, which it will, because it's spaced armor. Your turret is, dare I say, screwed, dead, gone. And that's 50 firepower and quite a decent chunk of mats for something this size. Please don't do that. Please don't do this. So this gun needs a redesign completely. Because of that, I was going to talk about the shell, which is not great. You're missing out on space here. You can add another part and do this. You see on the right side, that makes it more efficient. This gun's really bad. Don't use railgun casings. Just don't do this. Base bleeders, in my opinion, not worth it at all. The inaccuracy bonus, even if you use a fin, is so not worth it. 115 still, that you may as well just give up on this extra damage that you're getting. It's seriously not worth it, in my opinion. Just make a bigger shell. This is only 250 millimeters. Solid warheads. Don't think these are worth it either. I think you should just cram in more HE. Because we see here that your heat is actually really incredibly underpowered, but your kinetic damage is way overpowered for something in this weight class. You do not need this much kinetic damage on a $600,000 ship. It's just simply overkill. You're going to be annihilating everything in your class, like punching through its armor for the most part. I actually want to see, like, firepower wise. I don't know if the Reef Shark is a good comparison, but let's go Tiger Shark. I want to see what a good firepower is in this weight class. So this thing is 500, so missile cruiser. Receiving. And this is the Tiger Shark. Can I see the Reef Shark? Please and thank you. This is a hydrofoil, also a missile cruiser. Another point I'm going to make as I'm going along is that this thing is really underpowered. Amphites describe this as a tank. It's meant to just tank shots in the middle of a fight, but as we'll see later, it doesn't really do that as effectively as it could because of its less than adequate armor pattern, and its weapons are not good at all. It has 250 firepower. That is pitiful. Pitiful for something in this range. Speaking of APS, this Sea-Wiz is, I'm sorry to say, Amphites, horrible. First of all, what is this shell, buddy? When you're making Sea-Wiz that is APS, commit to a super accurate APS kinetic shell, or a relatively inaccurate but time-fused flak shell. Don't do this weird admixture. This isn't getting you anything. You're not getting any good bonus damage from this and this, and plus you don't even have like a time fuse on here to like actually detonate this correctly at like to make your what's it called, your warheads worth it. And your gun is still super inaccurate. No tracers. Please put tracers on your Sea-Wiz. It will help you so much. And if we look at the Sea-Wiz, we'll see this is clip base autoloaders. Please do not do this. This is never, ever, ever a smart choice. And yes, this is CWiz. Here's a CWiz controller here. Do not do clip auto loaders. This is not good. This is a waste of space, waste of time, waste of everything. So like, I obviously am not the best at belt-fed Tetris. That's why I tend not to do it. That's why I tend to just steal things. But here's an example of like decent belt-fed Tetris. This is basically the Tears gun, but made bigger. It is always better to have more autoloaders with, of course, 2 inputs, because you have a clip and an autoloader, so you need 2 inputs. Kinda, you know, in a pattern. Just going around a circle. Just maximizing your space as much as possible. He's not maximizing his space, he's wasting it. And, you know, his CWiz ends up being like, how much does it cost? It's 15,000 materials wasted, down the drain, useless. You're not doing anything with this, so why would you do it in the first place? Hint, hint, don't. Simple weapons, also, in my opinion, not worth it. These things cost 3,500 and they only offer you about 2 firepower. Compare this to, say, your gun, which obviously isn't great. And this is like 700 mats of firepower, right? So, just whipping out my calculator. So 3,500 divided by 2. Simple weapons, that one at least is like 1,700 mats per firepower, which is not good at all. So you're wasting stuff with all these simple weapons everywhere. You have at least 10 firepower worth of them. It's like you're just kind of wasting how many mats? Probably like, which one is this? This is the quad 40. Quad 40. You're probably wasting like 10 grand of mats, if I had to guess, without doing the math, if not more. And that's just, I guess it would be almost 20. Just not worth it. Don't do it. So, speaking of weapons, there's a lot of interceptors here. Maybe he needs that many interceptors, I don't know. Because his lambs is a little weak, but it's to be expected, something this small. But I personally wouldn't spam interceptors that hard. Being very critical here. Yeah, this lambs is very, very, very small while I'm thinking about defenses. And it doesn't follow the general purpose lamb setup, which is for every 3 of these cavities here. This is a cavity, by the way. Single inputs, gross. I don't like single inputs very much, but I guess if you're maximizing space. Anyway, for every 1 of these cavities, or every 3 of these, you should have, where is it? 1 of these storage cavities. That's just general purpose lambs, kind of the best go-to. It's not the best at any one task, it just does everything. And that's what I use. Ring shields, not a huge fan. I don't think they're really worth it. These are only providing how much? 6 AC? And how much does this cost? Can I even tell? No. Well, I don't know. I don't think ring shields are really worth it. And like, if this detonates, like this ring shield's in a really precarious position, it's gonna like punch through some of your armor and just open you up. Because it's a ring shield, it's gonna do that. These are less precariously placed, but they still will detonate just some armor. Not really much here, but I still don't like them. They're too volatile, and I have never really found a use case that wasn't a big screw-off front-sider for a ring shield, personally. Some people might like them, I don't. Again, I don't have much to say about the cram. What this ship does well is redundancy. There's literally everything everywhere. Like, we'll get to that later. There's like ammo. Please don't put your ammo next to each other. Please put spacing in it. Ammo. Like this one, yeah, like this one. This one is set up right. Ammo everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. This is weird. Set up for your up props, okay. Don't need daddy blades, but redundancy, engines, mat storage, you name it, he's got it redundant. That is very good. You should do that. Also, don't put helium pumps in your ship. They don't do anything. Not worth it. Just use water pumps. I can't tell if these engines are good or not. I don't think so. But they're very small, so who really cares? Speaking of engines, he's using mediums. And he's also spamming turbines. I personally wouldn't spam turbines. It's just not something I want to do. But hey, if you're gonna spam them, at least spam them efficiently. And I think the really small ones, talking about the really crazy small ones like this that are like 1 2 pieces, like I would make these a little longer personally, but hey, just me. Medium piston engines are really never good. You really can't get them efficient, especially when you set it up like this. Like, I don't think there's any staging here at all. This is kind of hard to follow. But yeah, I don't think these are staged, like, at all. I kind of don't know what's going on here, but like, because this is just a mess. But like, these aren't set up properly. Like, your map per material burned is like so bad. I would just, if you're going to use steam, just use large if you have the space. If you don't use steam, just use fuel. Because if you're going to do steam, the most efficient thing is like large setups and the like, what is it, 17 by 17 small setup. And you don't really have the space for the small. And you have space for like one setup, like 1 row of larges. But anyway, don't use mediums. Lots of fuel engines everywhere. I think this is one of the workshop fuel engines, which is like pretty efficient. I don't think this does anything for you, my friend. I think you should delete this. Like, actually. I don't think you need these ailerons. You have control surfaces here. This is all you need. You have up props and roll props and all that crap. You don't need ailerons. You don't need deady blades. Which, where are they? There's deady blades in here. I don't even know if these deady blades work anymore, but you definitely don't need them. Yeah, you don't need them. Just get rid of them. And let's talk about missiles. First of all, this huge missile, no SIG processor. That's a sin. This huge missile is crazy, stupid, expensive, and you don't want to lose it to a flare, so please put SIG processors on there. These are remote guided heat. I'll talk about remote in a second. There's large missiles somewhere. Oh, what are these? These are also remote heat. With some EMP, I think. Remote radar. So, in my opinion, if you're gonna go for the remote missile thing, I think you should just use Lua. Why? Well, first of all, it does save you 1 part on your missiles because you don't need prediction guidance anymore. You just have the Lua piece. But also, Lua missiles are so much more versatile. You can make sure that they always hit if you make them aim for like center mass. If you code them to do that, you can make them javelins. You can do kind of almost anything you can think of with a missile, with Lua missiles. So why would you take the inferior option of remote guidance when Lua is an option? That's just my opinion. And Lua scripts are not hard to come by for missiles. I don't really like what he's done here with all these AI mainframes, because these, let's look. So there is 21 receivers on channel 1. I don't know if these things are set up to where if the main one gets blown up, then these take over on the, what's it called? The weapons targeting. I don't know if that's set up like that, but I don't, none of these mainframes are redundant. Like, there was only one, this one, that I had to take out the behaviors because they wouldn't stop. But anyway, there's only one that has behaviors on it. So I think you're just kind of wasting your time with all these mainframes. Like, how much does a mainframe cost? A significant amount, and you have several of them. I think you really need one redundant AI. I don't know what you're trying to get at here, but I think you really only need one redundant AI, but that's just me. I think that's most of the systems covered. It could use a lot of work. There's a lot of things I think are questionable. Lots of just spammy things. You just kind of spam things in like this lower section. Let's talk armor. Amphrite, I'm sorry to tell you, but your armor's horrible. Horrible. So we have like 2 meters of like blocks. And then we have like this weird Applique era HA spam. Like in like weird setups and weird arrangements. Like it doesn't make sense. You don't even have full coverage of era if we look at it. Like there are gaps in the era which things can just punch through, because like what is Applique going to do to penetrate around? And there's just so much space. Please, please, please do not leave space in your armor. The most efficient armor uses literally every block available to it. So I think he has like 10 meters of armor, right? So like instead of leaving space in his armor, it's better if he just 10 blocks deep, and then, you know, since he's using alloy, he can afford this. Then do your like HA at the very end, you know, like you do. Obviously, this goes all the way up. But you get it. Like, this is much, much better than spamming era, spamming Appliques, having spaces in your armor, just because it's stronger. It's just plain old stronger. It's going to make you last longer. And if you want era, you put it like here. You put it somewhere in the middle where, you know, you still have your AC, so maybe like here. And it's going to stop AP penetrators if you're worried about them. But if you're playing the campaign, please don't be worried about AP penetrators. They're really not that common from what I remember. Like, there's probably very few ships that actually are you're going to need era to guard against. So just don't use it. It's never good, and I'm not going to go into specifics of why it's not good, but just trust me that era is not worth it. And I don't think Applique is good. I've never heard anyone sing its praises, and I've never heard anyone discuss it, probably because it's not really worth your time. But I can also prove that his armor is quite bad. So I will just grab the old handy dandy explosion tool, and let's just put it at 10,000, because that's you know, not that powerful of an explosion. And let's blow the ship up. Boom, Rambot, stop what you're doing. Actually, we'll assume that this is kinetics flying at you. I just want to show how easy it is to open this thing up and like show you how bad the armor is. Obviously, I'm using the explosion tool. Yeah, it's gonna do damage. But like, you can imagine how easily just some sabos flying out at high speed are going to just rip this thing apart. And yeah, like I miss anything critical here. All the critical systems are guarded. But still, this thing is just, it's wasting mats in this armor, wasting space, wasting materials. So I think better could be done. Also, does it have repair tunnels or repair bots? Gross. Gross, gross, gross. I think your armor could use work. I think the era spam, the Applique spam is just bad. Please don't do it. Leaving air gaps in your armor that aren't block air gaps is just not worth it. Blah, blah, blah. Too much era. You get it. You get it. I think that's about it for my criticisms. Kind of just let them rip off the cuff. So this is some turret armor here. I can't tell if this turret armor is on the turret or not, so I'm not going to comment. But your turret armor should always, 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 always be on your turret. So you could have your turret be a front sider and put all of the heavy armor on the front. Because heavy armor on the back of the turret is a waste. Like this. This is a waste. If we assume that this is on the turret, which I don't think it is. Just a waste of time and resources, because your turrets aren't going to be pointing not at the enemy unless you get hit by multiple ships. But even then, lighter armor on the back. Yeah, besides that, the shit looks good. Probably is fine for his purposes, but it could use significant work in the armoring, in the weaponry, and all that junk. But yeah, this is the Thomedy Missile Cruiser by Amprites. Thank you for sending this in, my guy. I hope that I helped you in some metric and gave you some sort of usable advice. Also, how does this thing get out of the water? Because this is a missile, but it's underwater. Because this is not a torpedo thing, and this is radar guided. So like, how does it get out? Because radar doesn't work underwater. But anyway, thank you for submitting this. I hope you can improve the ship. I hope I can help you in some way. And let's talk about the Trident. So the Trident has a story to it. Kvis actually sent this thing in a previous version, which was slightly worse, into my Discord, into one of the help channels, and got assistance and made this thing better. He improved it significantly. He was previously unable to beat the tier, and now he's able to completely destroy it and win against it from what he said. As you can see, it's a tier contestant. It's 990 mats, 560 firepower, most of which is APS. And this thing is pretty good. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. Pretty sure almost all the guns are like APHE or AP Chem. Yeah, they're like all AP Chem. And yeah, he's using a lot of good practices, a lot of good ideas, and he's building things tight, and he has a main goal. Compared to that to the Thomedy, which doesn't really have a main goal, it just kind of loosely incorporates a lot of things. This ship also looks really, really, really good. I love Steel Strider style ships, and this is no exception to the looking good of that. Let's look at the guns. Decently armored turret caps. Love to see it. Not quite bullpups like I like to do, but to each their own. The main issue with these turrets is they have a lot of free space. Like here is free space. Somewhere else is free space. Here's free space. He's using it for recoil, but you could probably, maybe... Yeah, here's free space. You could have an autoloader here for sure. Anything that isn't 1x1 is always just unused space that you can use better. But he obviously is... These turrets are symmetrical. You just flip them 90 or 180 degrees. But yeah, he can definitely fit more stuff in here. Ejectors, love to see them. They are not optional. EMP protection on the turret, good. Something you should always do. I would also wrap this in rubber if he has not considered doing so, but his space seems limited. But yeah, these turrets are fine. They're not the most volume efficient, not the most mat efficient, but they are good. Let's look at the shells. So here's an example of a good, decently set up shell, AP, and then all your chem, and just has a bunch of rail charge. It's pretty big, bunch of speed. It's appropriate kinetic damage for what it's trying to do, which is pierce something like the tier. So you're looking for really like maybe 8 blocks of metal, right? Maybe 10. Anything more than that like is just overkill in this size class. And it has huge damage on the heat, and I believe also huge damage. Yeah, pretty good on the HE. But yeah, these guns have a purpose, and they are serving it very well. The other gun was just less good. They have good firepower. It's about 100 per turret. Pretty decent fire rate. I don't know if they're asynchronous or synced up or not, but I guess it's something for Kvis to say. This lambs is disconnected. You should fix that, buddy. Little error there. But yeah, besides just like a little bit of tightening up on the guns, like here you can see how much loose space there is, and the weapon controller not being wrapped, the guns are pretty fine. The Sea-Wiz is excellent. He's using his space to his maximum. This railgun Sea-Wiz, not my personal favorite, but he's using every piece of space he can, except for like, I guess, no? I think I'm being visually tricked. But he's using space very well. He's not using clips excessively, which is bad. And his Sea-Wiz has, if I can select it, please, mister, a real proper shell. Heavy, solid. He has super cav just so he can use this offensively as well. 20 AP, exactly right. This is good. And I'm assuming he has mixed shells, so he has a party mix, so it switches between these two shells to give him a tracer effect, which is good, helps his accuracy. And this is just generally a nicely set up Sea-Wiz in terms of kinetic. Nothing here, empty space, love to see it. And yeah, he has less redundant systems. His systems are more compact. As you can see, his ammo is compact, but it's split into two, I believe. I believe there's another ammo cache somewhere. Where's your other ammo cache? Oh, right there, above his engines. A little bit placed in conspicuous spots on the ammo. Like, I personally would put my ammo at the front and the back of the ship, just because it's the safest, in my opinion. It's a spot's less likely to get hit, or least likely. Hybrid setup on the steam engines. These are serials, and these are on always. These are parallels. These are on during combat, I'm assuming. These are for efficiency. These are for pure power, which is a good setup. It's the way I like it. His lambs is pretty beefy, I'm guessing just by looking at it. It's not too expensive, but it's sufficient. Let's see. Looks like he's roughly obeying the general purpose lambs setup, which is good. He has mat storage everywhere, so he can't ever get killed in his materials. He has some simple weapons, which again, I don't like, but to each their own. To each their own. Cute little cockpit. And yeah, everything is just kind of distributed in a nicely efficient way. His AI is separate from his Citadel. It's too close to the ammo, in my opinion, but hey, if it works, it works. Azipods, good. The other ship had Azipods, but you know, just like to point them out. And I believe his armor is what I would call near optimal for this weight class. So we have just metal, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So he does have on his main armor, obviously this is armored systems here, like he's armoring his systems to just make them more resilient. But his main armor, like the armor that is consistent throughout, is about 8 meters thick. I don't think you need 2 air gaps, but hey, if it works for you. I prefer just 1. And he's using like a sandwich of metal and alloy, which is fine. Perfectly fine. Very expensive armor. And he is backing his HA beam slopes with metal. Or is this alloy? I can't tell, because I'm on a turret. LOL. I think he's backing it with alloy, which I don't think is the best choice. Yeah, I think I would at least put metal here just for the extra AC on all this stuff. But again, whatever you want. But yeah, better armor, no like actual air gaps, just block-based air gaps, which is good. And yeah, he's doing a lot of things right, a lot of things correct, using a lot of general good practices, and has made something that, you know, isn't the most meta thing to exist, but is a pretty damn good ship for what he's done. So, if you want, find Kvist in my Discord, ask him how he made this, ask him for advice, or ask anyone for advice, because we can help you make your ships better and get you to something like this. He's also obviously a good builder, as you can see, so the game was rigged from the start. But still, he made his ship better, and I applaud him for it, and that's why I wanted to show it off. Thank you, Kvist, for sending this in, and yeah, let's head on to the bonus round. Bonus round slash outro slash whatever you want to call it. This is the, what is it, the YF-24A by TRK. This is clearly just an F-35. I just have it here because I can't really review tiny craft, like small boats, small aircraft, in a way that matters. So if you guys send them in, it's okay. I'm not going to tell you not to. Just know that I can't really provide a full video review. So if you send in something small, it's more likely to get reviewed in like a bonus section or on stream than it is to get a whole video. Simply because if I made a video on this aircraft, it would be 2 minutes long. I don't have much to say about it. It's just a fast aircraft wrapped in alloy. Has huge long CJEs. And it's a missile bomber. Can't see them because I'm pretty sure they're decoed. But it's a large missile bomber. Excuse me. So yeah, there's not really much to say about it. I don't make aircraft very often, so I don't have like hard and fast opinions on like what to do, what not to do in aircraft. I'll spawn in something for this thing to kill. I'm gonna give you something with cram, so it's funny. This also does have projectile avoidance, which is cool. Yeah, I don't really have much opinions on aircraft. I don't really use aircrafts in my campaign that often. I think most things you can do with aircraft, you can probably do better with spaceships or hydrofoils, so that's just my opinion. Yeah. But here it is. This is just a cool little aircraft. I think it looks neat. Flies neat. I don't know if it's the best in its class, but anyway. That's it for the video. I'm pretty sure I will have the stream announcement at the beginning of this video, so make sure you listen to that. Read the description just to ensure that you got it right. Come hang out. If you don't come hang out and you submitted something, then I will not be reviewing it because I will only be reviewing things for people who are in chat. So come in there, talk in chat, tell me what you made. I'll make a list, check it twice, and I'll review your things live, kind of in person. I guess if you count a stream in person, whatever. You get what I mean. Come hang out. It'll be a great time. And I will see y'all then. Peace.